Hey guys, Motorcarnut here, and today we're doing the install video. This is part 2. There is a part 1 for the Mazda CX-7 head gasket replacement. This is the install video, 09 to 12. The Mazda 6, 09 to 13. The Tribune, 09 to 11. The Ford products, the Fusion, 2010 to 19. The Mercury Milan. Any of those Ford Mazda vehicles with the 2.5. All right? So now, first thing we're going to do is you got to make sure you clean the gasket material off on the head, on the cylinder block surface, and also check it for straightness. That's a mechanic square that's extremely straight. You can't just use any kind of piece of metal. You got to use that. And what you do is basically where it is right now, it's horizontal, all right? And then you put it this way, and then you put it that way, all right? So you know you're square on the block, and you want to just slide it. It's usually good here, and it usually if it's warped, it's going to be in the middle. All right, and this is a 2/1000. I don't know if we can say, but it's 2/1000 of an inch. All right, it shouldn't go under. You see that? It doesn't go under. All right, and then, like I said, you put it like this and do the same thing, and then you do it like that. I checked it. It's perfectly straight. Now you make sure it's nice and clean. And then we're going to put the head gasket on. We're going to put the head gasket on. And I'm going to show you a couple of steps before we're going to put the cylinder head on. All right. Now, make sure the cylinder block is nice and clean. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some gasket maker. That's what Ford and Mazda wants. You put a little bit here. From here to here. And from here to here, be careful of the hole over here. And on the bottom of on the top of the gasket, once you put the gasket maker on the bottom, then you're going to do the same exact thing on the gasket itself here and over here. And then we're going to put the cylinder head down. So now, let me show you over here what we have. You have to use brand new head bolts. Okay, you oil the threads, and I like putting a little grease on the heads over here instead of oil. It's just a little bit better on each one. You're going to need a Torx 55, all right, for the head. And now the Torx specs over here, I wrote them down, okay? And I'm going to show you the sequence once I put the head on. We're going to go, the sequence is going to be 8 foot-pounds, very little, 12, 34, then angled 90 degrees and another angled 90 degrees. So that's a lot of strength. That's why you want new head bolts. Now you see, I put a little bit here and a little bit there, nice and thin that it doesn't squeeze into the hole. And I use the gasket maker Ultra Gray Permatex, very good one. The Ultra Black is good too. You can use that. Now we're going to put the cylinder head on. Okay, now the sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. You have to do that sequence 5 times. All right, first you do the 8 foot-pounds, then you do 12 foot-pounds, then you do 34 foot-pounds, and all in sequence, and then a 90 and a 90. You don't really need an angle torque wrench because it's only a 90, and 90 is easy. You go like this, you set it up just like that, all right? And 90 degrees is just like that, all right? And you do that, 90 degrees, that's 4, and 90 degrees, and that's 5. So you do 5 steps, okay? You got it? 8, 12, 34, 90 degrees, and 90 degrees. And then you're done. And what you can do is when you're putting the socket wrench in here like this. Anyway, you can use a piece of pipe, all right? But make sure it's at straight horizontally with the block and the head, right? So you use this pipe and you torque it to like right around there. You turn it that much. It's easier with the pipe. And you install The bearing caps over here for lifters, lube them, the sidewalls and underneath. Make sure they're in the same order you take them out. These are all measured. You can't just put one in another one. They're all measured for clearances. All right, there's no valve clearance adjustment. This is automatic, but each one has a number and it's a different thickness, so you cannot mix them up. All right, then you put the bearing cap, the camshaft on, lube it up with assembly lube, the bearing caps too, and you're going to torque them. Basically, you don't have to go crazy with the torque sequence. Just start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the same thing here. You start in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. And you torque them down first to 80 inch-pounds. And then you go again, same sequence, to 120 inch-pounds. Not foot-pound, obviously. All right, so I'm going to do the next one. And then once you tighten them down, this one's already tightened down. There's over here where you can grab. You see this part? Never touch the lobe. There's here where you can put a wrench. And you just make sure that it's not binding. Okay? If it's binding, then something happened. Maybe something's dirt on here, or there's a little burr somewhere. You would have to check that and see what's going on. All right, I'm going to install the other camshaft, and we're going to continue. And when you put the intake main cap, the one right in the front, over here, there's a little screen that goes in here. All right, make sure it's nice and clean. Blow it out with some compressed air, and you put it in there and install that. Make sure you lube it up. Okay, now we're going to do the timing chain, the valve timing. Now, there's a couple different ways to do this, but this is assuming that you did not take the actuator off here. You didn't loosen this bolt over here and turn this, and that's all different. That's not covered in this video. I'll make a video on that later. All right, this is assuming you're just doing a head gasket and you did not touch that. All right, you're still going to need a special tool like this one and a special tool like this one. Now, with the valves open, closed, see how there's no pressure on the valves? They're up. That's number one cylinder. That's top dead center. And over here, there's going to be a slot. Now, if this were turned bottom dead center, the tool won't go in. So, top dead center, it's very easy. You see the number one cylinder? All the valves are closed. You take this tool, and you slide it in just like that. All right? So now we know that it's in line up there. Now, everything on this engine freewheels, meaning that the crank, when you turn that crank bolt down there, just the crankshaft's going to move. No other gears are going to move. These gears, the gears down here, everything freewheels. It doesn't have no keyway. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, this one down here. See this? How it moves? All right, everything moves. Now the crank, when I turn the crank's the only thing going to move. Now how you put the crank at top dead center is with this tool. Now we're going to go to the bottom. I'm going to show you. So now what we're going to do, we're on the bottom. And if you watched the first video, part one, I took the axle out, but you don't have to do that if you're not. Here's where it goes. There's a bolt that you take out and you put this tool in there. That's going to hit the crank. Now, if you still have your axle in, I have another video on showing you how to do it with the axle where you have to move it out a little bit to slide this in. I'm going to link that below in the description. All right, this one goes screwed in here. I got to get a wrench. It screws in here until it's at the bottom. Let me go get a wrench. All right, it's in there and you actually can see it inside there. You see that? Now, what we're going to do is, before you put that pin in, you put it a little bit before top dead center. All right? So when we turn it, it's going to hit it. And mind you that the valves are open, so you got to be careful you don't hit no valves. That's why you don't go too much further than that. You heard that? Yeah, let me go back. And That's it. That's top dead center. Okay? So now what we're going to do, we're going to put the chain on. All right? Going to put the chain on. Like I said, there's no marks nowhere. This moves, see? This moves, no problem. Everything is going to be pressure tightened once you put the harmonic balance back on. So now what we're going to do, we're going to put the timing chain, the guide rails, and the tensioner. And let go of the tension. Everything's going to have tension. And then we're going to tighten down, or then we're going to put the valve cover on, I mean the timing chain cover on. And then the last thing we're going to do is torque that bolt down. All right, and that locks everything in timing. So right now, I'm going to put the timing chain on with the guides and the timing chain tensioner. To compress the timing chain tensioner, you're going to need a C-clamp, but you don't just push it in, you'll break it. As you clamp it in here, like this, and you go slow cranking it, over here, going to get a little thin screwdriver, and there's a little plunger right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to move it. See this plunger moving? That moves away the teeth, so it can go in without binding. Okay, so as you're screwing the piston in, this little plunger has to be constantly pushed in, pushed away. And then once you get to the bottom, you're going to see a little slit. And then you put, like I put a little drill bit, something that'll keep it there. So now you can install it. And once you install it, you can pull out the pin or whatever you put in here. Like I put a drill bit. All right, and then we're going to install that now. So now I put the timing chain tensioner on. Okay, it's right down there. Oh, I didn't tighten these. You got to make sure you tighten everything 100 inch-pounds, 100 inch-pounds on the tensioner. All right, this one just slides on a little pin right here. And there's tension on the chain now. Tension here, nice, right? And don't forget, the pin is still in for the top dead center. It's against it, the crankshaft. And this still slides in nice on both sides. See, nice and even. All right, so that's how you do the timing. But now, we can't lock nothing down yet because we have to put the timing cover on. Okay, and that's the next thing we're gonna do. You wanna make sure all the surfaces here, you clean them all up. All right, maybe use some carburetor or brake cleaner with a rag. Make sure there's no oil residue all the way up on this whole thing. And the engine, I'm going to show you, we're going to have to put it straight because when we slide the timing cover in, it's going to have gasket maker on it unless you put it over here. Maybe that'd be even better. You put it on here so when you slide the timing cover, it doesn't go all over anywhere. Maybe that's what I'm going to do, or maybe I'll put a thin coat here and a thin coat on there. Now, let me show you over here. You should get your bolts all lined up. All right, because we're going to slide this down. I'm going to replace the seal. I think it's good for you to replace the front crank seal. I'm going to go get one. All right, I lined up all the bolts. This is basically where it is. They're all, what is this? They're all 8mm. This is the longest one. All the other ones are the same. This one's a little longer. This little longer one goes here. All right. And then the rest are all 8mm, even this one. All right, over here, we have this one. And over here, these three go right in here. And that's basically the setup. Just like that. You can stop the video, make sure you have it all on a line like that. So when you put it in, you know, the gasket, you want to make sure you get that gasket, you know, within 5 minutes. You don't want it to set up the gasket maker. Then you would have to do it all over again. That's why you prepare yourself first. Make sure you put the new crank seal first. Clean up this hole underneath. Over here, all of that nice and clean. All right, you don't want no grease or nothing like that. And then we're going to install it. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the gasket maker on the cover, the timing cover itself. Because you see how thin it is? If you put it on the block on the cylinder head, you may miss it a little bit in some areas. So make sure you got to put silicone here, 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 and this whole perimeter. But before you do that, you may want to dry fit it. Make sure the engine is pretty much parallel, like that, or maybe up a little bit, and basically you want to slide it down, you know, and see how you're going to get it on, because you don't want the gasket maker to like hit anything and maybe it can cause a leak. So, and just make sure all the surfaces and in the middle too are nice and clean, free of oil. First I put it on with the gun, and then what I do is I move it with my finger, try to keep it nice and flat all the way around. Not too flat, but to make sure it has nice good contact all the way around. And now we're going to just slide it in carefully, and hopefully it won't make a mess. And next step, and those are 8mm bolts are 80 inch-pounds, and the 13mm bolts are 24 foot-pounds, okay? And then we're going to put on the water pump pulley, all right? I don't know the specs on that, but just tighten them down. And we're going to continue from there. All right, you can tighten the water pump bolts 25 foot-pounds. Same thing with the idler pulley right here. That one I just installed. Now what I'm going to like to do is, being that I have the motor mount is not hooked up yet, and the motor can just move, I want to do the exhaust in the back, all right? And then once we have the exhaust in the back, then we can lay it down and put it on its mounts, and then finish the install. And make sure when you install the exhaust manifold, you put a new exhaust manifold gasket, all right? It's important. And make sure the sealing surfaces are nice and clean. You don't want nothing to leak. Same thing with this. Use a razor, make it nice and smooth, especially in this area. Take off all the carbon, all right? So it gives it a nice seal. Okay, and after you put the exhaust on, you put the shield on. There's 10mm, 10mm, 10mm down there, and 10mm over there. And that takes care of that. Next, we put the power steering pump back on. You have a 10mm, 10mm, and under here, there's going to be one right where my finger is. This one. All right? You tighten them down. That's 12mm, like I said. Then put the mount so we can take the jack away. All right, the nuts, 17mm, and the 3 bolts, 17mm. I'm going to do that so I can just move this jack out of the way, and we can continue working on it. We're going to put the fuel rail on now, and you always change the O-rings. These old O-rings. Anytime you disturb an O-ring, you take it off, you should replace it. And these are hard. The same ones in here too. When you get a head gasket kit, it usually comes with all of the O-rings too. So we're just going to install this now with the 2 bolts. Now we're going to install the intake manifold. New gaskets. Take these out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one. All right, that's what we're going to do now. All right, and yes, don't forget this one too for the throttle body. All right, and now we have, when we put this up, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bolts total. All right. All right, on my particular model, I put the fuel rail on, and if you know, this one's not really fitting, so I just took it off. All right, so now, before you put this back on, down in here, all right, down in there, not this hose, there's a hose below that. All right, it's a breather hose that has to be hooked up to the manifold. It's kind of tight to get to. All right, I use the long needle nose like this, and I stuck my hand down there and put it on. Now, when you back up the video, you'll see the hose that's down there. All right, that has to be hooked up first. And then now we're just gonna make sure all your gaskets are seated and none of them are like bent or nothing like that. And we're just gonna push it on and catch it with a couple of screws. There's little plastic dowels right here that go on the head. All right, to line it up while you're tightening down the 7 bolts. Gonna put the valve cover on now. Make sure you use a new seal all the way around. This seal, and this seal. All right, because these are known to leak. This is plastic. They're going to warp easily. And this one was leaking really bad. Now, before we do that, I'm going to go over here and we're going to make sure, we're going to verify the timing, the valve timing. It's important. All right, make sure you have no slack here, nice and tight. We're going to rotate it a little bit, bring it back on its marks, and then check the timing before we put the valve cover on. Now, what you're going to do is make sure all the spark plugs are still out so it doesn't have compression. And you're just going to rotate it back counterclockwise, slow, about a quarter turn. All right, I just did that. Because what you want to do is you want to load up the tensioner, make sure it's nice and tight, and everything is going to be aligned up. So now we still have the tool in there. You heard that? It hit, okay? So now that it hit, what we do is we're going to go on we're going to go up. We're going to get our tool and make sure it fits in the way it did before. And it does. You see that? Little play on that side. Little play on that side. It's nice and perfectly aligned. There and there. That means valve timing is good. Chain should be nice and tight. It is. We're going to install the harmonic balancer now. Put a little bit of oil on here. I put a little assembly lube. And now we're going to slide this in. It's a little hard to do with two hands. Let me just slide it in and show you the next step. And everything is locked down. Still got the tool. And see how this just turns? Now we're gonna screw in a 10 millimeter bolt. They call it a tool, but it's basically a 10 millimeter bolt. You put it through here and you just snug it down. That's what I'm gonna do now. Now, that center bolt has to be torqued 75 foot-pounds and then an additional 90 degrees. Like that. Now, what you do, you don't rely on that center bolt, you'll rip it right out, is you put a wedge over here in the transmission. You see the flywheel? You put a little wedge here, so have somebody hold it while you crank it down. It's important because that has to be tight because there's no keyway. And that can just freewheel. So it's tightened now. And what we're going to do, I made a mark on the bottom here. I'm going to crank it 2 revolutions. Line this back up over here and go on the top and see if the cam tool slides in. If it does, then we're in timing and we continue. Of course, you have to take the tool out. Take the tool out first. Then you crank it twice. And just before you get to top dead center, put the tool in until it hits. And then check the cam timing on the top. All right, I just want to go over it again because it's important. The valve timing is that you take the tool out after you tighten the center bolt down. Take the tool out, you turn it 2 revolutions, and just before you hit top dead center, you put the tool back in, make sure it seats, and then you turn the crank until it hits the tool. All right, then you come to the top, and you put the other tool inside, like this, and just make sure, see, like a little play on that side, and it's perfect. So now you know the valve timing is fine, and we're going to put the valve cover on now. All right, so now I didn't put the valve cover yet because I just went on the bottom again. I'm going to take the tool out, and we want to put this cooler that cools it protects the alternator. All right, you have a 10 millimeter nut here and one on the top. You just slide this on like that, and on the top, install that. Take the tool out. I'm going to show you how to do the timing of the crankshaft sensor. All right. If you didn't put this bolt in yet, put that bolt in. And what else I'm gonna do before I go to the top again is put the serpentine tensioner. That goes right here. Okay? So I'm gonna do those few things and then I'm gonna go to the top. All right, we're gonna do the crank sensor. Now you don't have to worry about any kind of an air gap because it doesn't move that way, but up and down. So basically there's a line, I put it here. You see this little line straight across? It should go in the middle of the tooth. All right, like over there is no good. Like that, something like that. All right, and you just tighten them down. 75 inch-pounds. Just like that, okay? Not like this, or not like that. Should be something just like right in the middle. Everything locked. I actually still have the tool in there, and this is top dead center. So that's pretty much what you want. And make sure you take the tool out and you put the original bolt back in there with a new washer. And when you torque them down, 1, 2, same thing. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, and let it settle, and then do it again. You're going to be surprised as the rubber gasket, it smushes, they become loose, and you got to torque them again to 80 inch-pounds. All right, then you put your connectors back over here. All right, and we're going to continue. We're going to put the spark plugs in and then the coils, and then we're going to continue. Also, the fuel injector harness, I'm going to get that as a separate harness. You plug it in, and we're going to do that now. All right, install the fuel injector harness. All right, it's one piece by itself. And put the throttle body on. All right, clean it out. It's good to clean it out. And of course, you put a new seal in back of it, and just hook it up, the connectors and everything like that. And we're going to continue. All right, install the spark plugs. Make sure you're going to put new ones. You gap them 49 to 53. All right. Installed everything, the harnesses. Sometimes, because I didn't, you see these? Some of them don't have the extra threads. They belong here. I didn't have them, I had them in the back, so I just switched them over, to keep everything neat. And now, I'm gonna put on this other piece, the bracket with the little purge valve. This is gonna go on in the back over here. All right, I'm going to show you how to do that. So now you have to make sure you put everything back where it goes. Usually it's like I said, when you take some kind of a harness off, it's always usually bent to pretty much where it goes. So it's hard to, when you lay it back, you can pretty much see where everything goes. It's just over here in the back, all over here, there's 2 plugs. All right, there's one here and one in the back here. Make sure you don't miss those. And you just double check your work. There's a lot of little things going on here. If you're not, familiar with this, you should have marked it when you took them off, like I said in the video before. But if not, you could always ask me a question if you get stuck. All right, so now I'm gonna put the battery tray or maybe the coolant line first, and then we're almost done. I got to do the exhaust in the back, but I'm going to leave that for last. It's not in the way right now. All right, now when you're installing the main hose here, the top radiator hose, and it has this bypass hose, it goes in the back. Here's the, this is the old one. It goes right here. All right, so now that's kind of buried. And you have to, it's right in here, underneath here. And then you put the coolant hose, the heater hose, back over here. All right, so you got to get that hose first. All right, the overflow tank, it just basically slides in. Make sure you move take this fastener off the harness so you can slide it in. There's going to be a little round pin on this that goes in a little hole, and it just slides in. No fasteners. Right here. It just slides in right here. To get this out, you have to push this in while you pull it up on both sides. But on my removal video right there, you would know that. So this just goes in like this. The air cleaner box has grommets, 3 grommets. You just line the grommets up and you just push it in. And 2 10mm here. That's where we're at right now. I'm gonna put the battery tray, and we're almost done. Maybe I'm gonna put the air. Change the air filter. We're gonna put the mass airflow sensor. It's good idea to clean it out too. And now you install. You see the little black grommet holders over here. So they line up. You do it at number 2 and number 4. So they line up with these right there, and these just clip on over here. So like that. All right, you should have a Mazda symbol there. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do right now, again, the battery's last. The serpentine belt. I'm gonna do that now. It's best to get this from underneath, and we're gonna take it from there. All right, now the serpentine belt, here's the adjuster. All right, you have to hold that clockwise so it moves in. All right, and this is how it goes. All right, it's not the best diagram, but you get the idea. All right, and that's how it looks. And you can't really get it from the top. You have to do it from the bottom. And I put the axle on, tightened it. You got a 14mm bolt here once you push it in. All right, don't forget the carrier over here, the brace. It has 3 bolts. They're 15mm, one, 2, and 1 on the other side over here. All right, you make sure you slide it in. It goes all the way in up to the seal. I did the exhaust. Those are 13mm. And that's where we're at now. Now we're gonna put fluid and coolant in it. And it's a good idea, I cleaned it all up. It's a good idea to clean it up if it's oily from previous damage. So when you put the new fluids in, you'll know if it's leaking or not. And we're gonna do that now. All right, I just put the oil and the coolant, proper level. Now we're gonna start it up. What you do is you turn the key on. You let the pump do it a couple of times. 2, and then 3. All right. That's starting pretty good. All right. Now, your main objective right now is you should have cleaned down the engine, and you're going to look for leaks. All right, I got still a little wet from overnight cleaning it down. So now we're gonna lift it up and look for any kind of leaks on any of the hoses. Let it get up to operating temperature. Let the fans come on at least twice. All right, let me go underneath. All right, we're underneath. And you just basically want the engine to get really hot so it dries up all the regular water. See, this is regular water leaking until it's nice and dry. Then you're going to test drive the car and check it again for leaks. Then you can put the bottom cover on. The side wheel or the inner liner over here, I'm not going to do that yet. You make sure that the seal is not leaking. And in the back. And you just check everything. And then basically you're done. All right, and you just saved yourself about $2,500. That's including maybe $500 in parts. All right, so that's, it's a little bit time consuming for the first, people trying to do it for the first time, but you get the proper tools, you have patience, and you watch my videos, and this is how you can save a lot of money. All right, guys, Motorcarnut. Please subscribe, hit that like button. Any questions pertaining to this video, leave them below. I answer all my questions, try to help everybody out. I appreciate all the positive feedback I'm getting from all over the world. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.